Hello students, welcome to English literature class. This is the 10th short story in your collection, in your treasure trove, a collection of short stories textbook called All Summer in a Day. You might be wondering, how can you have all summer in one day, whereas you have experienced or you're enjoying 3 months of extended summer holidays? Let us find out more about this short story, All Summer in a Day, written by Ray Bradbury, as a 20th century American science fiction writer. Shall we start, children? I hope you have your textbook with you, a pencil in your hand. So, who is Ray? I have already told you who Ray Bradbury was. He was a 20th century American science fiction writer. He was born in 1920 in USA, in a small town of Waukegan, Illinois. He started writing short stories as a child. Waukegan features in many of his stories as Greentown, Illinois. He loved all the arts like magic, acting, reading comic books, listening to radio, but what he loved the most was writing. He has written anything between 400 to 600 short stories. Some of his more famous stories are Dark River, Golden Eyed, The Homecoming, The Foghorn, The Illustrated Man, The Martian Chronicles, Dandelion Wine, and Fahrenheit 451. Ray Bradbury's most famous novel is Fahrenheit 451. The novel details a future society where firemen burn books instead of putting out fire, extinguishing fires. In addition to Fahrenheit, Ray Bradbury wrote 11 other novels. Some of them are short story collections he converted into novels. In his works, what do we find? Ray Bradbury explored the human way of living, morality, family, aliens, and what it means to be human. He wrote extensively during his long life, supported by a strong family connection and a long-lasting marriage until his death in 2012 due to a stroke. Before we start the short story, let me give you a brief introduction to this story. All Summer in a Day is a short story written by Ray Bradbury in 1959 for the magazine of fantasy and science fiction. It is a futuristic view of life on Venus. You heard it right, children. So this story is a futuristic view of life on Venus. Though Venus is uninhabitable by humans, this work depicts a thriving, though miserable life of rocket men and women. On Bradbury's Venus, it rains violently for 7 years at a time, and the sun breaks through only for 2 hours. There is a contradiction, children, in the story. Sometimes it is mentioned as 1 hour, and sometimes it is 2 hours. So, and then the sun breaks through only for 2 hours between these downpours. So, All Summer in a Day is a fantasy about a child named Margo. Children, here he is silent, who is bullied by her classmates just because she had seen the sun as she had come from the earth, but they had not experienced the warmth of the sun. Margo is locked in a closet and misses the only 2 hours of sunshine that occurs every 7 years on Venus. And what is the setting, children? So the scene is set in a school where the teachers and children await the appearance of the sun. Children, I'm in page number 108. I hope you have pencil with you to jot down the meanings. Shall we start, children? Ready? Ready. Now, soon. Do the scientists really know? Will it happen today? Will it? Look, look. See for yourself. Ready? Who are these? Who are asking? Children. Yes, they're in a schoolroom. They're all waiting anxiously for the rain to stop. They're waiting for the sun to emerge. They're all asking one another whether they are ready. Now, yes, any moment the sun might come, and so one is telling soon. One is telling soon. Yes, the sun will emerge very soon. Do the scientists really know? No, there is apprehension whether what the scientists have predicted is right or wrong. Whether they have predicted rightly. Do they really know? Will it happen today? Will it? It also shows their eagerness to see the sun, and also they're worried if the scientists have predicted it wrongly. Look, see for yourself. See, all the children are waiting eagerly. They're all 9-year-old kids, children. The last time the sun appeared on the planet Venus, it was 7 years back. So what does this mean? These children were 2 years old. So they don't, even if they have seen the sun, they don't remember anything about the sun. So they're waiting eagerly. The children pressed to each other like so many roses. So many weeds intermixed, peering out for a look at the hidden sun. It rained. It had been raining. So what are the children doing? They're in the school. Actually, their school is in underground. Children, they are inside the school. They cannot go out because it rains so heavily. So they're watching through the window. So the children pressed to each other like so many roses. Like, what is a figure of speech? Like is simile. How are they bunched together like so many roses, so many weeds? What do you mean by weeds, children? Weeds, actually a valueless plant growing wild, especially one that grows on cultivated ground to the exclusion or injury of the desired crop. It can be any undesirable or troublesome plant, especially one that grows profusely where it is not wanted. So here, what does it mean here? All these children are bunched together. The author compares them as a group to roses and weeds that grow closely together. So they have been likened to both roses and weeds, hinting that they were not all sweet and innocent. Just like weeds are unwanted, here also some children might be naughty, mischievous. Some children might be sweet, innocent. So just we have a mixture of all kinds of students here. So they are intermixed, peering out for a look at the hidden sun. Peering. What do you mean by peering, children? Looking narrowly or curiously. It had been raining. They're waiting for the rain to stop because the scientists have predicted that the rain will stop and the sun will appear. See their anxiousness to view the sun. It had been raining for 7 years. Thousands upon thousands of days compounded and filled from one end to the other with rain, with the drum and gush of water, with the sweet crystal fall of showers, and the concussion of storms so heavy they were tidal waves come over the islands. 1,000 forests had been crushed under the rain and grown up 1,000 times to be crushed again. And this was the way of life. This was the way life was forever on the planet Venus. And this was the schoolroom of the children of the rocket men and women who had come to a raining world to set up a civilization and live out their lives. So, for how many years has it been raining, children? For 7 years. Thousands upon thousand days compounded, added, combined, and filled from one end to the other with rain. So in a year, how many days do we have, children? 365 days. So for 7 years, what happens? It is combined to form thousands and thousands upon days. So what is happening here? It is filled with rain from one end to the other with the drum and gush of water. So the rain, it rains so heavily in different forms. So when it rains heavily, torrentially, it is like a drum beat. Did you get it, children? It rains with a drum and gush of water. So when it rains so heavily, how do you hear it? It is like the drum beat, or it is like the sweet crystal fall of showers. So when it rains heavily, it is like the drum beat, and when it is not raining heavily, it is like the falling of the sweet crystal. So again, a figure of speech, a simile, and the concussion of storms so heavy that they were tidal waves come over the islands. So when it rained heavily, it was as if a tide had come over the islands. So concussion, it was so, actually what do you mean by concussion, children? It is a shattering effect from a hard blow, a stunning or a damaging shattering effect from a hard blow. But here it was, this tidal wave was a hard blow over the island. It was so heavy, it was like a tidal wave. 1,000 forests had been crushed under the rain and grown upon 1,000 times to be crushed again. So what is happening? Whenever there is rain, you have a huge forest, big forest growing. And again, what happens? Because of the rain, again, it gets crushed again. So a cycle of growth and destruction because of the heavy rain. And this was the way of life. This was the way life was forever on planet Venus. And this was the schoolroom of the children of the rocket men and women who had come to a raining world to set up civilization and live out their lives. So this is how life has been going on in Venus, because there is continuous rain. Because of continuous rain, new forests emerge and again to be crushed because of the heavy rain. And who had set up this world, children? The rocket men and women. Whom does these people refer? Rocket men and women, the scientists who had come from Earth to set up a civilization on Venus and to live out their lives. They had no plans of returning to Earth. We have not given a clear picture what made these scientists to come and set up a civilization in Venus. But if you have seen movies like Interstellar, Martian, all these children, we know that in those movies, what have they predicted? That there were some problems on the Earth. That's why they set up alternative arrangements in another planet. Maybe that is the reason. But imagine the plight of these people, children, who had come from Earth, where they enjoyed all kinds of seasons like summer, winter, rainy season, spring and all. Here, the only thing they can view is the rainy season. Imagine their frustration. But imagine the plight of these children who have never been to Earth. The only thing they know is rain. So you can imagine now their eagerness to view the sun in the beginning. Now the children, it's stopping, it's stopping. Yes, yes, see, they're so eager. They're waiting. The scientists had told it would stop, and it is happening just like the scientists predicted. The rain is slackening. It is reducing. Yes, yes. But Margo stood apart from them, from these children who could ever remember a time when there wasn't rain and rain and rain. They were all 9 years old. And if there had been a day 7 years ago when the sun came out for an hour and showed its face to the stunned world, they could not recall. So Margo is the protagonist of this story. She stood apart from them. She's apart. She's separated from them. She's not part of this group. From these children who could ever remember a time when there wasn't rain and rain and rain. These children, the only thing they remember is rain. They don't know anything else. Why? Because they were all 9 years, and if there had been a day 7 years ago when the sun came out for an hour and showed its face to the sun world, they could not recall. Why can't the children remember the sun? Because on planet Venus, it rains for 7 years continuously, and the sun comes out for an hour. So these children are 9 years old now, and when last the sun came out, it was 7 years back when these children were 2 hours. So they don't remember anything, and that too, it had come out for an hour. Later it comes as 2 hours children. That's why I have highlighted as an hour. So these children don't remember anything, and they could not recall. So let us find out what happens next. Sometimes at night, she heard them stir in remembrance, and she knew they were dreaming and remembering gold or a yellow crayon or a coin large enough to buy the world with. She knew they thought they remembered a warmness like a blushing in the face, in the body, in the arms and legs and trembling hands. But then they always awoke to the tatting drum, the endless shaking down of clear bead necklaces upon the roof, the walk, the gardens, the forest, and their dreams were gone. So what did she hear sometimes at night while they were sleeping? Margo heard them stir, move. They heard when they moved in their sleep while they were sleeping in remembrance. And what were they remembering? Yes, at night when these children slept, they moved, and in their sleep they remembered. But she knows that they don't know anything, and she knew they were dreaming and remembering gold or a yellow crayon or a coin large enough to buy the world with. The children have heard the description of the sun so much, it is as if they have really seen it, but they don't recall it. But listening to it so many times, they actually dream about the sun as a yellow crayon or a coin large enough to buy the world with. So their parents have told them that it is like because they know what a yellow crayon is, so they have told the sun is yellow. Or what is the shape of the sun, children? It is round. So how have the parents described the sun to them? It is a coin large enough to buy the world with. How can anybody buy the world with a large coin? So it is actually a figure of speech called hyperbole, exaggeration. So here they have used the coin to tell the shape of the sun, but in their imagination, okay, they want the sun so much, so they go to the extent of telling that yes, they wanted to tell how big the sun was. The parents have told that the sun is like a coin, round like a coin, but it is very large, very huge. So huge that one can buy the world with. She knew that they thought they remembered a warmness. Yes, the children have been told how the sun was. So even in the dream, they think they remember the warmth. How? Like a blushing in the face, in the body, in the arms, legs, and trembling hands. But please remember, children, they don't know, they don't remember anything, but being told repeatedly in the dreams, even in their dreams, they think how the sun is very warm, like a simile, like a blushing in the face, in the arms, legs, and trembling hands. But then they always awoke to the tatting drum, the endless shaking down of clear bead necklaces upon the roof, the walk, the gardens, the forest, and their dreams were gone. So they always dreamt about the sun, how glorious, how its warmth is on their arms, legs, and hands. But the minute they wake up, how is it? They always wake to the sound of the rain, like the shaking down of clear bead necklaces on the garden, the forest, and their dreams were gone. Children, before, what is this tatting drum? Actually, tatting refers to the act or process of making a kind of knotted lace of cotton or linen thread with a shuttle. I hope you can see here. This is the shuttle. This is the lace. So this process is called as tatting here. But why has the author used as tatting drum here? Here, tatting drum is used by Bradbury to describe the way the rain sounds. Yes, when you start making laces, your lace using the shuttle, the sound produced is like the beat of the drum. So here he has used to describe the way the rain sounds on planet Venus. So in their dreams, they see the sun as a yellow crayon or a coin large enough to buy the world with. They think they remember the warmth of the sun, like a blushing in the face, but where they always awoke to what? To the continuous sound of the rain, like a drum, and also the shaking, the falling of the clear bead necklaces on the roof, the walk, the gardens, the forest, and their dreams were gone. The minute they woke up, all the dreams were shattered. See, similarly, children, the children pressed to each other like so many roses. The children were squished, waiting for the sun. They remember the warmness like a blushing in the face. The sun is hot. This we will come to later, children. All day yesterday, they had read in class about the sun, about how like a lemon it was and how hot. And they had written small stories or essays or poems about it. I think the sun is a flower that blooms for just 1 hour. That was Margo's poem, read in a quiet voice in the still classroom while the rain was falling outside. This what happened, what we are reading now, this had taken the previous day. All day yesterday, they had read in class about the sun. The teachers were preparing the class for the appearance of the sun. And they had read about the sun in the class and how like a lemon it was and how hot. So the children were told how the sun was like a lemon in color and how hot. And they had written in preparation for it. The teachers had given assignments to the children. They had written small stories or essays or poems about it, or based on what they have heard about the description of the sun. They had written small stories, essays, and poems. And what had Margo written? I think the sun is a flower that blooms for just 1 hour. See, children, the figure of speech. I think the sun is a flower. It is a metaphor without using the word. Likened as, she has compared the sun to a flower that blooms for just 1 hour. After a day, what happens, children? The flowers normally they wilt, they wither. But now she has compared the sun to a flower because it is going to come only for 1 hour. She has written that the sun blooms for only 1 hour. That was Margo's poem, read in a quiet voice in the still classroom while the rain was falling outside. So every child had written something or the other, but she had written a very nice poem because she knows what a sun is. Because the other children don't know, whereas she knows because she had come from earth. She knows exactly what the sun looked like. So when she read in the class, in her quiet voice, in the still, the classroom was very quiet, still, while the rain was falling outside. You didn't write that, protested one of the boys. I did, said Margo. I did. William, said the teacher. But that was yesterday. So what had happened the previous day when she had written that poem that the sun was like a flower, that the sun is a flower that blooms for just 1 hour. The children are surprised how she could write like that. They don't agree with her that she couldn't have written that poem, protested one of the boys. But she vehemently opposes him by telling that she had written that. And an argument arose between Margo and the student, William. So who is that student, children? Yes, William. An argument broke out between William and Margo because William cannot digest the fact that she has written such a wonderful poem about the sun. But that was yesterday. When did all this happen, children? It was it was yesterday. Now the rain was slackening, reducing in intensity, and the children were crushed in the great thick windows. They're all peering through the windows to see, all collected together, bunched together, one over the other, because the window might be small and the children might be more. So all want to have a view of the sun. So they were crushed together near the great thick windows. Where's the teacher? She'll be back. She'd better hurry. We will miss it. They turned on themselves like a feverish wheel, all tumbling spokes. But now it is the present day when the sun is supposed to come out. The teacher is not there in the class. All the children have already assembled in the classroom. They are peering through, watching carefully through the window to see when the rain will stop. So they are wondering where she is. She will be back. One of the children tell, she'd better hurry. We will miss it. Yes, without the teacher, without an elderly person with them, without an adult with them, they cannot go out of the class. So they want their teachers. They want the teacher to come on time. Otherwise, they'll miss, because they know the sun will come only for 1 hour. If the teacher is late, they can't go out, and they will miss some precious minutes of watching the sun. She'd better hurry. We will miss it. They turned on themselves like a feverish wheel, all tumbling spokes. So what is a wheel? I hope you can see the picture here, children. So what do you mean by spokes? Each of the bars or wire rods connecting the center of a wheel to its rim. So these are called the spokes, children. So what is the comparison here? They turned on themselves like a feverish, agitated, heated, hot wheel, all tumbling spokes. So here, these children, they turn themselves like a feverish wheel. The author compares the students turning on each other like an uncontrolled, restless wheel. They're tumbling on, falling over each other. Like what? Like an uncontrolled, restless wheel. Margo stood alone. She was a very frail girl who looked as if she had been lost in the rain for years, and the rain had washed out the blue from her eyes, and the red from her mouth, and the yellow from her hair. She was an old photograph, dusted from an album, whitened away, and if she spoke at all, her voice would be a ghost. Now she stood separate, staring at the rain and the loud, wet world beyond the huge glass. So she is alone. She is not part of the group. She can't mingle with them. She is separate. Now we have a description of Margo. She was a very frail girl, weak girl, a delicate girl who looked as if she had been lost in the rain for years and years. And the children, she had come from earth. So she knows what sun is, the warmth. She has experienced different kinds of seasons. So it here coming to Venus, not seeing the sun, it has affected her so much that it seemed as if she was lost in this Venus, as if she had been lost in the rain for years and years. And the rain had washed out the blue from her eyes, and the red from her mouth, and the yellow from her hair. So what does it mean, children? Because of the lack of sun, it was as if she had lost the spark, the beauty in her eyes. It was as if the energy from her mouth had been taken away by the rain, the red from her energy, liveliness, strength, all these things, and the yellow from her hair. What does this mean? It means the sunshine and joy. So because of the lack of sun, this girl had become very weak, very delicate. She looked so lost, and also the rain had taken away the spark and beauty, the blue from her eyes, and it had taken away the red from her mouth, the energy, the strength, the liveliness from her mouth, and the yellow from her hair. That is the sunshine and joy. And we have a description. She was an old photograph. Again, figure of speech, metaphor here, children. Here, without using the word like. How does she look? She looks like an old photograph, dusted from an album. She has that look. If you see old pictures, children, you can't make out very distinctly. Here, she has become like that. Though she's still young, just 9, she looks like an old photograph, dusted from an album. Whitened away. There is no life in her. Liveliness in her face. And if she spoke at all, her voice would be a ghost. The figure of speech here used here is metaphor. Her voice is compared to that of a ghost. Just like her photograph is compared, just like she is compared to an old photograph. Her voice, without using the word like and as, her voice is compared to a ghost. Why is her voice compared to a ghost? Because it comes as if from far, from somewhere, her voice is coming. I hope you are noting down her description, children, how she is frail, how the rain had washed away the blue from her eyes, the red from her mouth, and the yellow from her hair. She was an old photograph, dusted from an album, whitened away, and if she spoke, that all her voice would be a ghost. Now she stood separate, staring at the rain and the loud wet world beyond the huge glass. She is not part of this group. She does not mingle with them. So what is she doing? She is staring at the rain which she hates and the loud wet world beyond the huge glass. Why is Venus called as a wet world? Because it is always raining. Why it is called loud? Because the sound made by the rain is so loud. That's why it is called a loud wet world. Let us go to the next paragraph. What are you looking at? Said William. Margot said, nothing. Speak when you are spoken to. So we have already seen how William is a bully. Who is a bully, children? Who threaten others, scare others through their action and words. Who are you looking at? What are you looking at? So because she doesn't respond to anything, he wants to get an answer from her, but she doesn't say anything. And he becomes so wild and threatens her and cautions her, warns her, speak when you are spoken to. He gave her a shove. He pushed her, but she did not move. Rather, she let herself be moved only by him and nothing else. She is also adamant. She doesn't want to listen to him, and she will only move if she is moved by him and nothing else. They edged away from her. Who are they? The children, the other children. They moved away from her. They didn't even want to look at her. She felt them go away without even noticing them. Seeing them, she feels, okay, because of maybe she heard them walking away. She knows that she felt them move away. And this was because she would play no games with them in the echoing tunnels of the underground city. The children know that nothing can make her to be part of them, play with them. She would not play any games with them in the echoing tunnels of the underground city. Yes, you heard right. All these people, children, live in underground cities, in tunnels where the sounds echo. If they tagged her and ran, she stood blinking after them and did not follow. Children, young people, young children like to play a game of tag. If somebody tags you, you have to go and catch them. Even if they tagged her, what would she do? She stood blinking after them and did not follow them, chase them. When the class sang songs about happiness and life and games, her lips barely moved. So when the whole class was given some activity to sing about happiness and life and games, what did she do? She barely moved her lips. She hardly moved her lips. Just because she would have observed, maybe she moved her lips, but she did not do it from the bottom of her heart. Only when they sang about the sun and summer did her lips move as she watched the drenched windows. So what do we notice about her? One could make her move or sing, one could make her listen only when it was about sun and summer. So when the children were singing about summer and sun, then her lips moved as she watched the drenched windows. I hope you can see the picture of the game of tag and the drenched windows. We will stop here, children. We will continue in the next class, where we will find out why the children hated her so much and what happens next. So what did we see here, children? What did we learn today? How rocket men and women had gone to immigrated to Venus from Earth in rockets to set up a civilization where it rains continuously for 7 years and the sun emerges only for 1 hour, and the children are waiting eagerly for the sun to emerge, because scientists had predicted that the sun would appear that day. And we come to know about Margo. Let us find more in the next class.